Who is actually going to make the playoffs? Could the Chiefs miss the playoffs? And where are my pants? These are the questions people are demanding answers to, and I'm here to provide them. We're a little over halfway through the NFL season now, and the current projected playoff bracket is nowhere near what people thought it would be at the start of the season, especially in the AFC, where our top 3 seeds are currently the Broncos, Patriots, and Colts. If someone came up to you before the season and told you those would be the top 3 seeds, you probably would have punched them in the face. And on top of that, if the playoffs started today as we enter week 12, none of the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, or Detroit Lions would be in the field. That is psychotic. And so it begs the question, what are the playoffs actually going to look like when it's all said and done? That's what we're going to figure out, or at least try to project today, and see just how realistic it is that a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that seemingly lives in the Super Bowl, could actually miss the playoffs altogether. As you'll see here, we've got our playoff predictor. Shout out to Pro Football Network. Nice and clean format here. We've got our playoff participants up here in the top right, our division standings here in the bottom right, and our week-to-week game predictions over here. So we're going to go week by week predicting every game, and by the end of it, see where we land and see which teams we do or do not expect to make the playoffs. So these are my predictions for week 12. Ignore the scores. Those just auto-populate when I click on each team. I wasn't going to manually go in and pick every single score. And I'm not going to talk about every single game. We're just kind of going to highlight the ones that really matter in the scope of what we're talking about. I like the Bills to take down the Davis Mills Texans. I like the Ravens to continue their hot streak against an obviously reeling Jets team. Bears-Steelers should be a great game. I got Chicago at home in this one. I think the really big one that we want to be talking about here is the Chiefs and the Colts. 16-15 is a hilarious auto-populated score. And look, maybe this is just the pessimist in me who is still fearful of the Chiefs and can't actually fathom a universe where they're not just this unstoppable, freight train coming at you. But I feel like in a game like this where they're at home, they're coming off of kind of not a rock bottom performance against the Broncos, but a game that they really kind of needed to win, at least to have a shot at their division. I think they're going to recognize that this is do or die time. Now look, there's a chance that Jonathan Taylor just blows this game completely wide open, and I am not opposed to that. I don't want the Chiefs to be good. But when it really comes down to it, if I have to make a pick, I think the Chiefs are going to come away with this one in essentially a must-win game at home. I'm taking the Cardinals over the Jags. I think the Jags might just come back down to earth a little bit after beating the brakes off of the Chargers. I like the Cowboys over the Eagles in a divisional matchup. They almost beat them on the road in week 1, and they've only gotten better since then. But yeah, this is how the playoff seeding would shake out after week 12 if things went this way. Who's that at the number 1 seed in the AFC? God, I'm rock hard. Who said that? Week 13 highlights. I've got the Lions over the Packers in a divisional matchup. I actually have the Cowboys over the Chiefs in this one, further complicating the Chiefs' playoff hopes. They're still just hovering around 500 in this scenario, but the Cowboys' offense has looked really, really good this year. And the Chiefs' defense is just not this ferocious unit that it has been in the past. I like the Cowboys to get a nice win there at home. Got the Ravens over the Bengals, even though Joe Burrow could maybe be back for this one. The Eagles over the Bears. Colts take care of business in their division. The Dolphins continue to ruin their draft position with no hope of actually making the playoffs. Jags over Titans, Seahawks over Vikings. I'm taking the Bills over the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and then yeah, some pretty obvious results after that. By the way, if you're wondering what I've been using for a mic for this video, it is a Baker Mayfield yellow-orange rated rookie card. See that? Pretty cool, right? Anyway, on to week 14. I've got the Lions over the Cowboys. I'm taking the Ravens at home in a divisional matchup against the Steelers. Look, truth be told, I do think the Ravens coming back and winning their division is kind of inevitable. I'll give the Steelers credit. They are a much better team this year than I thought they would be, but I still think the Ravens are just a better team overall. Their record is only this bad because of the insane amount of injuries they suffered early in the year. Now they're healthy. They're already rattling off win after win, and I just expect that to continue. I was just never really buying the idea of the Steelers as a division champion. Playoffs, sure, maybe. We'll see where we land at the end of this video. But AFC North champions? Nah. Got the Packers over the Bears in Green Bay. I got the Jags winning a game at home against the Colts. The Jags have been feisty all year, man. They're a pretty good team. They've got their ups and downs. I mean, they allowed 36 points to the Davis Mills Texans a couple weeks ago, but they've got their impressive wins too. They beat the Chiefs. Again, they blew the doors off the Chargers. So after predicting that they would lose to the Cardinals in a kind of come back down to earth game, I am going to predict that they beat the division leading Colts at home, because that kind of just seems like something they would do. Continuing on Chief watch down here, I do have them beating the Texans at home. The Texans offensively have just not looked like a team that can keep up with a team like the Chiefs. Not that the Chiefs are like a fully well-oiled machine this year either, but I think they're likely to come out with the win here, just probably in sort of a low-scoring affair. Honestly, the score prediction they gave for this one is pretty accurate. And then I like the Chargers over the Eagles at home. I think the Eagles are a good team, but I think they're a flawed team, and I think the Chargers defend their turf here on Monday Night Football. On to week 15, the first thing you probably notice here is the Bengals over the Ravens. Is it not a very Bengals and AFC North thing to happen for the Bengals to overly complicate the Ravens' playoff hopes, even though they are well out of contention? I've got the Chiefs taking down the Chargers at home. The Chargers got the best of the Chiefs in Brazil to open the year, and I just don't think the Chargers are are a good enough team to sweep a division rival like this. Not without both their starting tackles. We'll see if they get Omarion Hampton back by this point at least. Look, I may be biased, but I'm not that biased. I am going to take the Bills over the Patriots for kind of the same reason I just picked the Chiefs over the Chargers. I think the Patriots are a very, very good team. I think they're going to make some noise in the playoffs, but I don't think they're good enough yet to sweep a perennial contender like the Bills. Bills get their revenge in New England. I got the Packers going into Denver, taking down the Broncos. Just a couple of evenly matched teams there. And I'm going to take the Lions to do the same thing in Los Angeles. You know they always get fired up for games against Matthew Stafford. I'm going to take the Seahawks to beat the Colts at home. I kind of just think the Seahawks are a better team overall than the Colts, and add on the fact that it's going to be in Seattle with the 12th man. I'll take them all day. Give me the Vikings and that Brian Flores defense to make life hard for the Cowboys and take them down in Dallas. And then I'll take the Steelers to knock off the Dolphins and hold on to their playoff hopes. Now let's do a little check-in here. So we are through 15 weeks, hypothetically, of the NFL season, and the Chiefs are still just third in the AFC West. And this is what makes it so difficult for the Chiefs to have a path to get into the playoffs, because the Broncos and Chargers just have such a head start right now. Like, let's go back to week 13. You've got the Chargers against the Raiders and the Broncos against the Commanders. Easy matchups for both teams. Then week 14, the Broncos get the Raiders, and the Chargers, yes, definitely a very, very tough matchup against the Eagles, but we know they're capable of winning big games like that. And then week 15, I picked them both to lose, and yet we're still sitting here with the Chiefs behind both teams with the tiebreaker over neither. So let's keep it going and see where we land. Week 16, we have a banger matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks. I'm taking the Rams because I think if anything is going to make the difference here, it's going to be that Rams defense making life hard for Sam Darnold again, like we just saw last week. So I'll go with the Rams. I think they might just be overall the best team in football. I'll take the Bears at home in a close one against the Packers. Again, I'm trying to be realistic about the Patriots. I'm going to take a surging Ravens team at home against a more inexperienced Patriots team. You know, if the Ravens defense gets back to kind of their early season struggles, then yeah, maybe the Patriots can come in and steal one here. But I think they're just getting better on that side of the ball. I think Lamar is impossible to defend unless you're the Browns. So I'll give that one to the Ravens. Buccaneers win a division game against the Panthers. Bills take down the Browns, although watch the Browns because, again, they make life hard for basically every quarterback they face, except Drake May, who threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But hey, who's counting? I like the Cowboys to win another game that they kind of shouldn't, because that just seems like what they do. And I mean, they're at home too. The Chiefs are obviously going to take down the poopy Titans. I got the Broncos at home against the Jags, the Lions at home against the Steelers, and then I'll take the Colts to get back into the win column after a little mini slide at home against the Niners. On to week 16, I'm taking the Cowboys again, and I don't like how I'm apparently projecting them for a semi-playoff push here, so we'll see how that goes. I'm taking the Lions over the Vikings. I just think they're a significantly better team this year. Same philosophy I took with the Chiefs-Chargers game. I just don't think the Broncos are good enough. They're very good. I don't think they're good enough to necessarily sweep a division rival like the Chiefs, so I'm taking the Chiefs at home. I got the Seahawks over the Panthers. I'm taking the Ravens on the road against the Packers. I got the Chargers squeaking one out at home against the Texans. I got the Steelers over the Browns, but again, watch out for this one because the Browns defense is just so good. They can kind of keep them in any game if it goes the right way. At the end of the day, though, I just don't think they have the quarterback situation ironed out enough to be able to come away with too many wins. I got the Colts evening up the season series with the Jags. Bucks over Dolphins, Patriots over Jets, obviously. Titans get a win because why not? I got the Eagles going into Buffalo and taking down the Bills. And then I got the Niners over the Bears and the Rams over the Falcons. So entering Judgment Day, that is week 18, this is how things have shaken out. We've got the 1 seed Denver Broncos at 12-4, the 2 seed Patriots also at 12-4, the Colts at the 3 seed at 11-5, the Ravens get in as the 4 seed at 10-6, and then Bills, Chargers, and Chiefs as the 7 seed rounding things out. And then over in the NFC, I wouldn't say there's anything too shocking over there, but let's see how things get finalized with week 18. We're gonna go game by game here for the finale. Falcons Saints is a hilarious matchup of ineptitude. Falcons probably have to clean house after this year, but I am gonna pick them to come up with one last home win for the 2025 season. Bills are gonna take down the Jets. The Lions mollywopped the Bears the last time they played, and while the Bears have definitely progressed and gotten a lot better throughout the season, I'm still not gonna not pick the Lions. Should be a little bit closer at least. I'll take the Browns to squeak out one more game this season. The combination of the Bengals having a horrible O-line and such a bad defense that I'm not sure it could stop whatever garbage quarterback the Browns are putting out at this point, I think lends itself to the Browns possibly getting their 4th win. Broncos Chargers is a hell of a week 18 matchup. I am gonna take Denver in this one. Again, just a healthier, I think better team overall, and they're at home, probably in some pretty cold conditions that the Chargers aren't gonna be thrilled about. I'll take the Colts to go into Houston and win. Take the Jags over the Titans. Man, I miss those Bortles Mariota Thursday night football games. Rams over the Cardinals, Chiefs over the Raiders, Packers over Vikings, Patriots over Dolphins, Cowboys over Giants. I feel like most of these are pretty obvious as to why I'm picking them. Eagles over Commanders, Ravens over Steelers. Seahawks Niners should be a fun matchup at this point in the year, but I'm gonna go with the better team in the Seattle Seahawks, and then I'll go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South. So this is ultimately where we have landed with our playoff pictures. I think these were some pretty neutral game predictions I made. I didn't really go too off the wall with anything crazy that I thought was going to happen. Overall, I think a very, realistic way of seeing things play out through the end of the year. So to answer the question, will the Kansas City Chiefs miss the playoffs in 2025? Obviously, my answer is no. I came into this expecting that this is probably how things were going to play out. I have not been on the train that I actually think they're going to miss the playoffs. I think the Chiefs are still too good of a team. I think think they're going to lock in when it matters. Now, do I think they're this top tier Super Bowl contender? No. Do I think they can still get back there if they make the playoffs? Yeah. And I hate that. But as far as my overall rest of season predictions are concerned, I do have the Chiefs getting into the field, not just getting into the field as a 7, but getting in as a 6, ultimately knocking the Chargers out of the way to do so. And look, I think we're starting to see the cracks that can make that happen, right? The Chargers just got smacked by the Jags. They're down their starting tackles. They're really just trying to hold on. And I think when push comes to shove, they're not going to be able to hold on anymore. But overall, in the AFC, we've got the Broncos as the 1, the Patriots as the 2, the Colts as the 3, then the Ravens as the 4, the Bills as the 5, Chiefs the 6, and Jags the 7. Over in the NFC, we've got the Rams as the 1, Eagles 2, Lions 3, Buccaneers 4, Seahawks 5, Niners 6, and Packers 7. That's pretty much exactly how I probably would have handpicked things to go, without actually going in and picking every game. This is just how I would have expected it to land, because I really don't think there are any surprise omissions from this NFC playoff picture. Now, I'm sure Bears fans are yelling at me through their screen, because as I make this video, they are leading the AFC North and are the 3 seed in the NFC. But this is how I see things shaking out, and I don't think the Bears should be ashamed of a 10-7 season in their first year under Ben Johnson. That is a great first step as they try to establish themselves as a real NFC contender going forward. So in conclusion, will the Chiefs or Ravens or Lions miss the playoffs in 2025? I don't think so. However, based on these records, they absolutely could, because you'll see the Chiefs barely squeak in this prediction. And that's with me, maybe generously giving them the benefit of the doubt in a lot of these 50-50 games against the Chargers, the Broncos, the Colts. That is not an easy schedule the rest of the way, even though you also have the Titans and Raiders sprinkled in there. Basically what it comes down to is I have them projected to lock the in, but if they don't, we could be looking at the first postseason without Kansas City in quite a while. And I would enjoy that very much. And just for fun, let's check out the draft order, see what this would look like. Titans 1, Jets 2, Raiders 3. Yeah, that looks about right. And the Rams get the number 8 pick from the Falcons. God, that makes me sick. But that'll do it for this video. Let me know in the comments what your rest of season predictions are and who you see making the playoffs or not. But for now, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.